Hi guys, and welcome to Katie's Insight, where I give my insight on all kinds of things, including news, politics, current events, entertainment, business, finance, and most importantly right now, stimulus. As you guys know, we've been on the stimulus train and we're not getting off until we make sure that you guys are getting the help that you need. And I have what I think are very important updates on where we are at with stimulus and what is coming down the pipeline for everybody. So let's give you a little history, a little bit of what has happened. I swear it's like 2 weeks go by and the world is completely on fire when it comes to stimulus, but we have a lot of interesting things happening. So as of this morning, we have reports on different things that are going on, and it looks like New York is starting to shut down different places within New York, and it looks like Europe is getting their second wave of the virus. So something to be kind of aware of. And I know we've heard back and forth reports about whether or not Europe is or isn't getting bad and what's going on. And it looks like, at least from what we see from the mainstream media, which how much are you going to trust them? But it looks like that might be happening. In fact, like this concerned me. I was seeing reports, and I don't really want to spread this information. I'm just trying to give you guys an accurate view of exactly what's going on and what's being said. But it looks like they are saying that people are preparing for this fall cold and flu season, and they are starting to stock up on food and rationing. Because if you guys remember back in March and April, the shelves in the stores ran out of stuff. Like, my diet, as you guys know, I'm on a very super strict, all carnivore, low histamine diet, which I've talked about, which, by the way, I've gotten your emails and your comments. I love you guys and I appreciate you wanting information. This diet is not about weight loss. Yes, it can help you lose weight. One of the great side effects for me was losing 120 pounds in a year. However, I didn't do this to lose weight. I did it to stay alive because I have very severe health issues. What I do could backfire for you. It could give you nutritional deficiencies. I just want you guys to be aware. I am highly monitored with what I am doing with my health. I get hair tests so we can see where my levels are at things. This is a diet that's not for the faint of heart, and I would not recommend it to anybody, and I'm not a medical professional. I can't. I have very severe health issues. So I've seen messages and people going, what'd you do for weight loss? I want to try. No, this is something you need to consult with, a lot of your healthcare professionals on to make sure, because this could backfire depending on what your issues are, but this works for me. So I just want to go ahead and throw that out there. But you guys know I have a very strict diet. One thing I can have in my diet is coconut milk, very low fat coconut milk, which I do. So I will drink tea with coconut milk, and that's like the little tiny amount of comfort I can have, because I went from being a vegetarian, almost vegan, to an all meat diet. And believe me, I hate it. I hate every second of this. It's disgusting, but I'm doing it to keep me alive. I remember before I, found the medical professional that helped me get diagnosed, I said, I'll eat bricks if I have to get better. And for me, eating ribeye steak and burgers is like eating bricks. So my point is to say, I remember back in, I think it was April, when the shelves were ran out of the organic teas I do, of green leaf stevia, which is a sugar substitute. I do that in my tea, and I can't do too much of it. But they started, and they ran out of the tea, they ran out of coconut milk. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is scary, because my diet is super limited. It's just not all carnivore. The majority of it, most of the time, is low histamine. Not all the time. Sometimes I can get away with different things depending on where my body's at. But there are reports that people are starting to look into rationing food and what's going to happen, especially with the election. Because as you guys know, and I've said this is the stimulus election. And both sides have said they will not concede if they lose. And which we're going to go into in today's video, but with Pelosi saying that she wants to do mental fitness tests for whatever president is there and to do transfer of power, she's trying to do different things to the 25th Amendment, getting kind of scary. So on the one hand, if the reports are true, I don't blame people for feeling that way. On the other hand, we don't want to rush the shelves either, because that just screws everybody. There's also been a lot of talks about food shortages coming. We'll have to see what happens, y'all. I feel like the movies we've watched for the last 30 years about where we're going as a society. Remember the 80s when we used to see everything in the future would be robots and AI, and now it's a very common phrase to be the AI bots on YouTube, which is crazy, right? But it's the powers that be, in my opinion, were conditioning us for the things that have started happening now. And I think we all knew at some point some of these things might occur. We just didn't know when, and when became now. So just some stuff to think about. It is getting very, very interesting, but President Trump is adamant about keeping the country open, which, I have mixed feelings on. I can see both sides of it. Business owners, they have to make a living. What are they going to do? They can't make a living. They can't feed their kids. Their kids go into state care where the state also can't feed the kids. And state care is not a good thing, as we all know, because the kids are not protected. They let all kinds of people work there that shouldn't. You hear horror stories about things like that. That is where kids go and disappear. And I'm going to say that very, very lightly. Please infer what I'm saying. But things are getting very, very interesting. But President Trump is still touting on bigger stimulus. Now, first of all, yesterday, I need to apologize. Some of you guys saw a video go up and disappear. That video had a big technical error. And I didn't see it until after I pushed upload. I was like, crap. So I just removed it and I was like, you know what? I'm calling it a day, which is not good for the channel. And I want to get you guys the news, but I was so exhausted that day that I made a mistake and I was like, okay, I'm taking it as a sign. So that video went up earlier though. That video was Larry Kudlow. Larry Kudlow came out yesterday in an interview and basically talked about Mnuchin might go higher than 2.2 trillion for our money, as well as I've been showing you guys the signs. I've been showing you all the instances where Trump is talking about giving us more money. He's been saying for months he wants to give us more money. And he was on an interview with Rush Limbaugh where he says, I want to give more than the Democrats. I want to funnel money to people, but I want to make sure it goes in the pockets of the American people, where the Democrats, they want it to go to some things, they want it to go to what I understand, but the price tag seems too high for what it is they're needing, which is what the Republicans have a problem with, or specifically the White House. But then again, most of the Republicans don't want to do anything to help anybody. When I say that, I'm excluding Trump, because Trump is the only one showing he wants to help. Whether or not that's genuine, whether or not that's true, I can't tell you, but he's the only one giving the appearance of. And that's what matters before the election. So as you guys know, here's where we're at. Pelosi passed her bill for $2.2 trillion. That is a slimmed down version of her HEROES Act. The White House came up and Mnuchin came up between 1.8 and 1.9. Unfortunately, it's not enough in this situation, because here's where things currently stand with all of that. So they came up there. They're going to see what's going to happen. And Pelosi has said absolutely not. And she's come out saying no. Not only did she say no, she's trying to amend the 25th Amendment, and she's trying to put in there something about that the Congress could vote a president out or transfer powers if they think he is physically or mentally unwell. So now we have the talking heads. I told you this would happen. The talking heads are a-talking, and now they're using the media to go back and forth with what they want to say. So President Trump did over a 30-minute interview with Maria Bartiromo on Fox News. He seems to like going on that show. They seem to have a decent report. And I watched all of it for you guys. It's great. I think I've told you guys this. Me and my assistant, we double speed everything and just listen. And it does the job, right? So we double speeded everything. We listened. I did on this one. And I took notes. And so he does talk about stimulus. He talks about the economy. And he also talks about the upcoming elections and some of the things Pelosi's trying to do. You know, I never meant to become a political channel, but stimulus has become so freaking political. It's insane. But then again, we're in an election year, and we're in a crazy election year. So like I said, you know, it's interesting when I hear people stocking up, a part of me wants to scoff and laugh, but then when you take the totality of it into play with the virus and the things the government are doing, and that both sides have said with this election, they're not going to concede. It's like, meh, I get it. Preppers, hey. I'm not saying I'm going to be taking part, but I get it, right? So I have this is a small article. I don't know if you heard that, like it scraped. I have a small article of information pulled up. I want to go over with you guys about the stimulus and what Trump said, and then we're going to detail to what Trump said, as we always do, and I'll kind of break that down. From Forbes.com, Trump on stimulus. We're ready to go, he says. As the battle in Washington over the next round of federal virus aid grows more chaotic and more confusing, President Trump told Fox News' Sunday Morning Futures that his administration is ready to go on the next bill, and that the holdup was because we can't get Nancy Pelosi to sign the document. The key facts in this. Trump was likely referring to a $1.8 trillion offer Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin sent House Speaker Nancy Pelosi on Friday, which she describes in a letter to Democrats as one step forward, two steps back. We also detailed that she put out this big scathing letter, and now she's doing the rounds on how bad he is and let's remove him from office. Pelosi, who has repeatedly said she will not support a plan worth less than $2.2 trillion that the House has already passed, said the Trump administration's new proposal does not include acceptable measures for testing and tracing and lacks adequate funding for state and local governments, federal unemployment insurance, and child care. Senate Republicans have also criticized the offer vehemently, objecting to its price tag and potential changes to tax credits that are part of the Affordable Care act. The GOP hasn't been willing to support any legislation worth more than about $1 trillion, and its latest plan only included $300 billion in new spending. White House economic advisor Larry Kudlow, who has not been active and has not been actively involved in the negotiation process, told CNN Sunday morning that he believes the Senate GOP will go along with a more expensive stimulus bill if the White House and the Democrats reach an agreement. That's another thing. So with that 1.9 trillion that Trump and Mnuchin tried to counter with Pelosi, apparently the Republicans are furious. They do not like this. They do not think this is a good idea whatsoever. So it looks like it's possible that Trump may actually have to pander to the Democrats to get them on board more than the Republicans, because the Republicans can't get on board with anything. It's crazy. So when called out, Larry Kudlow's like, I think the Republicans will go along. We'll have to see. Larry is a big mouthpiece for Trump, and Larry doesn't always know what he's talking about, from what I can tell. So, chief critics. This past week, the president demonstrated very clearly that he has not taken the war against the virus seriously, personally, or nationally, Pelosi said in a statement Sunday. This attitude is reflected in the grossly inadequate response we finally received from the administration on Saturday. Key background. On Friday, Trump surprised lawmakers in Washington again by claiming that he was in favor of a larger stimulus package than either the Democrats or the Republicans want. That comment was quickly followed by a clarification from the White House spokeswoman, who said the White House would not be willing to accept a bill worth more than $2 trillion. Pelosi's current offer is worth $200 billion more than that, though it would be willing to negotiate up from its current position. This isn't the first time Trump has thrown stimulus negotiations into disarray. In less than a week's time, he's called off stimulus talks entirely, said he would support a series of smaller bills instead, and restarted broader talks again. So it's been nuts. Trump last week said calling off stimulus talks, within 24 hours completely turned it around and said, Nancy, get it done. We're only doing skinny bills to I want a bigger bill. It's insane, and that's where we're at right now, but I want to hear directly from President Trump. Now, I do have a clip. Be warned, it is a little long, but it's got what I think is a lot of good information, which is why I'm packing this in here for you guys. This is his interview with Maria Bartiromo. It's not the full 30-minute interview, right? But I do have what I think are good key pieces of information, and you know how I am. I'm going to roll the clip, then we will go over it in detail and discuss. So let's take it away with Maria and Trump.
And now we go live to the President of the United States, Donald J. Trump, on the telephone. Mr. President, thank you very much for being here.
Good morning. Thank you.
I want to start with breaking news, and that is the note that you have revealed from your doctor, which says you are no longer considered a transmission risk. Does this suggest you no longer have COVID, sir?
Yes, and not only that, it seems like I'm immune, so I can go way out of a basement, which I would have done anyway, and which I did, because you have to run a country. You have to get out of the basement, and it looks like I'm immune for, I don't know, maybe a long time, or maybe a short time. It could be a lifetime. Nobody really knows, but I'm immune. So the president is in very good shape to fight the battle.
But, Mr. President, I want you to answer your critics, because your critics are getting upset about your event at the White House yesterday, about your rally that you're planning tomorrow. They say it is still too soon for you to be around people and to be going out, that you could still spread COVID. What are you doing in terms of ensuring that everyone will be safe at your rally in Florida tomorrow?
Well, the doctors, the White House doctors, as you know, are the best, and they said totally free of spreading. There's no spread, and there wasn't yesterday either. And by the way, I don't know if you noticed, I was on a balcony. The closest person was probably a couple of 100 feet away, and they were down on grass. There was nobody even close to me yesterday. But even yesterday, I knew I was free. I beat this crazy, horrible China virus, and it also gives you immunity. I mean, it does give you immunity. Even the people that just cannot accept anything. I mean, they just don't want to accept anything. No, so I passed the highest test, the highest standards, and I'm in great shape. And I have to tell you, I feel fantastically. I really feel good, and I even feel good by the fact that the word immunity means something. Having really a protective glow means something. I think it's very important to have that. To have that is a very important thing.
Mr. President, you have been criticized for your handling of COVID-19. I want to take you back to when we first learned of COVID-19. And on January 16th, the Senate was holding an impeachment trial of you. This trial ended on February 5th. Where you were acquitted. Did anyone mention COVID to you during that time? Because you stopped all travel from China on January 31st, which obviously in retrospect was a very good move. But your colleagues in the Senate, Nancy Pelosi in the House, and her colleagues are saying that you did not handle COVID correctly while they were actually trying to impeach you. Did the COVID conversation come up at all during the impeachment trial or around that date?
No, because we were focused on impeachment. It was a fake impeachment, it turned out to be. And in fact, if you look at the House, where we had 197 to nothing votes, we even got a Democrat or two voting for us. It was a disgrace. It was a total disgrace. No, it wasn't discussed. What was discussed was Nancy Pelosi and others saying that keep the country, don't ban China, don't do that. In fact, she was dancing on the streets of Chinatown in San Francisco. And the reason she was because she wanted the business to come in. She didn't want to close up the country. And that was a long time after I had already closed it. Had I not, Dr. Fauci said I saved thousands, tens of thousands of lives by acting that early. And there were not a lot of people that agreed with me when I wanted to close it. And, you know, it's very interesting. But the prediction was 2.2 million people were going to die. So we're over 200,000, and one is too many. I always say it, one is too many. Should have never happened. It's China's fault. But one is too many. But 2.2 million was the prediction as to how many people would die. We lost 200,000 plus. And, you know, there are those that say we did a phenomenal job. We did a phenomenal job. And if you look at all over the world, our mortality rate is good. And our recovery rate, by the way, as an economy, is the number one in the world. We recovered faster and went down less than any other place. But our recovery rate is the best in the world, Maria.
Mr. President, I want to ask you about a policy in a second term, but first I've got to get your reaction to what Nancy Pelosi said this weekend. She is questioning if those steroid treatments that you were on, I know you're not on them anymore, are influencing your decision making. And on Friday, she raised the idea of a presidential succession bill to alter the 25th Amendment process. She wants Congress to be able to take out a president if they deem he is unfit. Here's Nancy Pelosi this weekend. I got to get your reaction. Listen to this.
The 25th Amendment creates a path for preserving stability if a president suffers a crippling physical or mental problem and is, quote, in the amendment, unable to discharge the powers and duties of his office and transfers his powers. Specifically, Section 4 of the amendment empowers Congress to set up an independent body to confront such a crisis.
Mr. President, your reaction.
Well, I think she's talking about Joe Biden because, to be honest with you, he's the one that's got the problem, and obviously it's obvious to anybody that watches him speak. He's the one that has the problem, and they want to put a super radical left person in, like Kamala, who's further left than Bernie Sanders, and you know that whole thing is breaking up now because the left isn't getting what they want. All of a sudden, they're back into fracking and all the things that they talked about they wouldn't do, and now they're saying they're going to do them. And the left is very unhappy. I'm going to get a lot of people because of my great policies on trade. They're going to, just like last time, Bernie Sanders people are going to vote for me because of what I've done on trade, because what I've done on trade is a miracle. And we have a long way to go because, frankly, they interrupted it with the impeachment hoax and various other things. But no, I think she's talking, and a lot of people think that she's talking about Joe Biden, getting him out. And now frankly, you know, that's the way I view it. I certainly view it that way. As far as medication, I'm not on any medication.
Yep.
I'm not on any medication. Mm-hmm. And the medications that I took were standard, pretty much routine, other than the one which is a miracle. It's the antibody stuff, which is incredible how it works. And we're going to be delivering that to hospitals. We're waiting for the emergency use authorization. And we're going to be delivering that to hospitals all over the country to take care, and ultimately all over the world. because it's incredible. Actually, what we have done, Maria, during this short period of time, 6-7 months, in terms of labs and doctors and medicines and therapeutics, and not even talking about vaccines, which are going to be phenomenal and coming out very soon. What we've done, nobody else could have done. And I got the FDA to approve things at levels of speed that nobody would have thought possible. It could have taken years, and I got them to do it in weeks. And they did the right thing, by the way. But you'll see that very soon with the vaccines, and you'll also see it with the antibodies. The antibodies have been fantastic.
So when do you think Regeneron gets the emergency use authorization?
Well,
what's the timing on that?
I hope very soon. And Eli Lilly makes a similar product, a similar drug. And I hope it's going to be very soon because I can tell you that it was great. Now, I think I would have done well anyway, I think. I hope. But, who wants to take a chance, as the expression goes? But the antibody kind of thing that I took was I felt really good almost after taking it. And what that does is it gives people in hospitals, as one of the scientists said to me, we'll clean out the hospitals. We'll get everybody out of the hospitals. This is really, I know people call it a therapeutic, but to me it's a cure, okay? To me it's a cure. I think it's much more than a therapeutic. And I want to get it immediately into the hospitals, and it's a transfusion. It takes 1 hour, and it transfuses into the body. And I'll tell you what a difference it is. And again, I think I would have been fine. I'm in good health. I think I would have been fine. And people have to realize that. And once you do recover, you're immune. So now you have a president who doesn't have to hide in a basement like his opponent. You have a president who is immune, which is a very important thing, frankly.
Mr. President, I have reported on Fox Business before that my medical sources have told me that Joe Biden had 2 brain aneurysms, not 1, but 2 brain aneurysms. I pray to God it's not true, but my medical sources are solid on this, that he has had 2 brain aneurysms. I hope he's okay. Do you believe that he should be disclosing that? And are you willing to commit to telling us any issues that may have been in the past for you if he comes clean and tells us exactly what is the issue in terms of any mental issues that we need to know about? For example, these 2 brain aneurysms that I have reported on in the past.
Well, I have no issues. I mean, in all fairness, you've known me for a long time, and I have had no issues medically. And this was the first issue, and this is artificially induced by China. But I have no issues. Yeah, he should certainly come clean, and he should say something about that. Absolutely, if that's the case.
Kevin McCarthy said that he's seeking a way to test Nancy Pelosi's fitness as well in terms of her own mental state. I saw your tweet that she was actually targeting Joe Biden, but she is 3rd in line for the presidency, and she did say that she's raising the possibility of becoming acting president in the event of a contested election. Your reaction?
Well, I don't think she could pass basic aptitude tests, personally. I really don't. I don't believe it. And speaking about Joe Biden, if you look at Joe, he was coughing yesterday horribly and grabbing his mask as he's coughing and speaking and grabbing his mask and coughing. And I don't know what that was all about. And it didn't get much press because the press doesn't do that. But he was coughing yesterday quite badly, I must tell you. And it was not a good thing to watch. And as he's coughing, he's grabbing his mask with his fingers. So you may want to look into that, too.
Mr. President, let's turn to policy. I'd like to ensure that the American people understand your policy proposals should you have a second term. I want to talk about taxes, economy, health care. Give us your proposals, your plans to get the economy back to where it was before COVID arrived, when we had a 3.5% unemployment rate back in February. What do you want to do in terms of your policies in a second term, sir?
Well, the first thing we have to do, Marie, is open up our country. You can't keep all these states closed up, the Democrat states, and they're not doing well. And the country is doing well. We're looking like a super V. But, despite the fact New York has to open up, New York's like a ghost town. New York is very sad what's going on there. And other places. We just won a case in Michigan against the governor that is, I call her the complainer in chief. All she does is complain, except when she's on the phone directly. All she does is say, thank you very much for doing such a great job. But the fact is that you have to open up Wisconsin. You have to open up North Carolina and Pennsylvania. We won another case there about opening it up because it's unconstitutional what these people are doing. So, number one, you have to open up. You got to get the kids back in school. And we have to get the schools open. We have to get the place open. These people are doing it. And by the way, after the election, about 2 minutes after the election, they'll announce that they're opening. And they know what they're doing. Look, they know what they're doing. And it's a disgrace. But I think, and the other thing is, I don't know if you've seen, but we're doing very well. We're up in Miami. We're up in Arizona. We're up in many, many states, more than we were last time. And I think we're doing very well.
Well, I just want to say Governor Cuomo's office called me to say that they are not looking at locking anything down until the election. In fact, he said that there are 2 areas with spikes in New York that are on pause. That's in Queens and Brooklyn. 2-week period went into effect past Thursday, October 8th, and they will remain that way for 2 weeks. So they're doing it on a rolling basis in order to see when things can open up. But New York obviously has been in bad shape. A lot of restaurants are going to go under. The economy there is struggling, and that's one of the issues in terms of this stimulus. Where are we on the stimulus talks? Will you give money to places like New York? Will the government give money to places like New York? Will you agree to that?
Well, Republicans want to do it. We're having a hard time with Nancy Pelosi. She thinks she can influence the election, and I think they're hurting themselves by not doing it. But the Republicans want to do it. We want to do stimulus. We want to help the airlines again because the airlines are always a tough business. We want to help the restaurants, hotels. We want to help businesses that really it's not their fault. It's China's fault. And we want to help them, Maria. And frankly, we're ready to go. We're all ready to go. We can't get Nancy Pelosi to sign the document.
Okay, guys, let's go over my notes. So this is what Maria starts off with. The note you revealed from your doctor that you are no longer a transmission risk. Do you no longer have the virus? Because this is a big thing right now, as you guys know. Trump is going back doing rallies and campaigning, and people are saying it looks irresponsible. And to be honest, I can see how the American people see that. But at the same time, if he's not at risk, why shouldn't he? But at the same time, if everybody in the White House is going down with it, even if he isn't, the people around him might have it and might be spreading it. I can see all sides of this. Trump says, not only that, but it seems like I'm immune. So I can go away out and get out of the basement, which I did because you have to run a country and you have to get out into the country. It looks like I'm immune for a short time or a long time or maybe a lifetime. It looks like I'm immune and the president is in very good shape and fights the battles. Well, his statements contradict themselves. If he's immune, but it's immune for a short time, well, then that doesn't mean really immunity, is it? Or a long time or maybe a lifetime. To me, that shows he's not really immune or he doesn't know if he is. These are the things he's saying to prop himself up, but I can also understand as the leader of a country, he has to show strength. So I think he's trying to show strength by, as he always does, exaggerating, just like he does in business. But you have to exaggerate in business. You have to exaggerate with marketing. This is something you have to do if you're going to be good at it to an extent. So for instance, it's like when you go into a Carl's Jr., is the burger going to look the same on the commercial and you're going to see Paris Hilton in a bikini eating it? No. That's the marketing to hook you to get you in. And hopefully they will provide a service that's good enough that you will want to stay. That's how it works. So she says, your critics are upset about your events at the White House and the rally you did. Too soon to be around people. They're saying it's too soon for you to be around people and going out and you can still spread the virus. What are you doing to ensure the safety at your rally? Which I think is a good question. That's reasonable. He says, White House doctors are the best in the world. And they said I'm totally free of spreading the virus. No spread. There wasn't yesterday or any of the other rallies recently either. By the way, I was on the balcony. Closest person was a couple 100 feet away on grass. No one was even close to me. I knew I was free and I beat this virus. It gives you immunity. Even the people that cannot accept anything, they don't want to. I passed the highest test and standard and I am in great shape. I feel fantastic. I feel good. I feel good that the word immunity means something, having really a protective glow, and it means something. I think it's important to have that. But he contradicted himself earlier when he says, I could be immune for a short time, a long time, or a lifetime. Well, that's not what immune really means. It means you're not going to get it. So, again, I think he's just trying to show strength as a leader. Not saying I'm happy that somebody's lying, but also, do we want to have our leader in a panic, right? So she says on January 16th, the Senate was holding an impeachment trial. By the way, I love that she brought this up because this is such a good point. Trial ended on February 5th where you were acquitted. Did anyone mention the virus to you during that time? Because you stopped all travel to China on January 31st, which in retrospect was a very good move. But the Senate and Pelosi in the House and her people did not handle the virus correctly while they were acting to try to impeach you. Did the virus come out during the impeachment trial on that date? Remember, because that was the move. They were trying to impeach him and it didn't work. He says no, because they were focused on an impeachment, a hoax impeachment. 197 to 0 vote. We even had a Democrat or two voting for us. It was a total disgrace and not discussed. The virus was not discussed. They were discussing, don't ban China, don't do that. She was dancing on the street at Chinatown in San Francisco. And guys, you've seen the clip I played. After Trump closed things down in February, she was like, come on down to Chinatown. It's the Chinese New Year. Come on out here and blah. Don't listen to him. It's fear-mongering. And yet she and the same people saying that turn around and go, he didn't handle this correctly. Would you have? Because you didn't. You obviously did worse than he did. That part always drives me nuts. So he says she was dancing in the streets of Chinatown in San Francisco. She wanted the businesses to come and she didn't want to close the country. And that was a long time after I had closed the country. Fauci said I saved tens of thousands of lives by closing the country. Not a lot of people wanted me to close it. No one agreed. The prediction was 2.2 million were going to die in the US. We are at 200,000, but one is too many. It should have never happened. It's that other country's fault. 2.2 million was predicted as how many people would die. We lost over 200,000. Many say we did a phenomenal job. And if you look at all over the world, our mortality rate is good, and our recovery rate economically is good. We recovered faster and went down less than anyone else. This is just what he's saying. Then, Pelosi said this weekend, she was questioning the steroids you're on, and are they influencing your decision making? I know you aren't on them anymore. And she wants a presidential succession bill to alter the 25th Amendment process. She wants Congress to take the president out if they don't deem him unfit. Here's what she says, and she says in my quote, the 25th Amendment creates a path to serving stability if the president suffers crippling physical or mental problems and is unable to discharge the powers and duties of his office and transfer his powers. Specifically, Section 4 empowers Congress to set up an independent body to confront such a crisis. And he says in true Trump fashion, well, I think she's talking about Joe Biden. He's the one that's got the problem. It's obvious to anybody that hears him speak. They want to put a super left person in like Kamala, which is worse, even worse than Bernie Sanders. The left isn't getting what they want and is back into all kinds of things they didn't like fracking. I'm going to get a lot of people on trade because of what I've done with trade. It's a miracle. We have a long way to go because frankly, they interrupted it with impeachment hoax. A lot of people think she's talking about getting Joe Biden out, and frankly, that's the way I view it. As for her medications, as for my medications, I'm not on any medications. The meds I took were standard routine, other than the miracle drug and the antibody stuff, which is incredible how it works. And we will be delivering that to hospitals, waiting for emergency authorization, and we want to give it all over the country and the world. What we've done, Maria, in 6 to 7 months in terms of the labs, the doctors, the therapeutics, not even to touch on vaccines, which will come out soon. What we've done, no one else has done, and I've got the FDA to approve things quicker than no one thought possible. It could take years to get this done. We did it in weeks. And we'll do it with vaccines and antibodies soon. I want to go over this a little bit, and I've talked a little bit about this. You're going to hear a lot about President Trump being on steroids, and now they're saying, well, you go on a high on steroids, and now he's going to crash. He's going to crash. He's going to crash. Let me explain. First of all, when we say steroids, we're not talking the same type of steroids that you inject into your body and you go all crazy with. Now, with that being said, the steroids he's going to be on, yes, it's going to give you more energy. Yes, it could pump you up to an extent. But I've been on these steroids. I've been on them for my lungs. And as far as I am aware, it doesn't alter you cognitively necessarily, right? It's going to give you more energy. And I don't think he probably didn't take a ton of it. So for instance, because I'm very sensitive, I can't take more than 20 milligrams. If I take 30 milligrams of that a day, like when I'm having lung issues, I am really struggling with my body. Now, Trump does not probably, I'm assuming, don't know, but I'm assuming, doesn't have the same sensitivities in his body that I do to different medications. But somebody his size, I can't see them giving him more than maybe 30, 40 at the max, 50 milligrams. But even then, for a normal person, when you're on a short burst of it, it's not that big a deal if you are in normal health, and they may have him taper off. That's what I have to do. I go on it, then I have to go down because my body is too sensitive. So we just don't know. But for them to act like he's going to do some crazy crash and go nuts, if he were taking an extreme amount, maybe. But it would be what I've seen would be more of a physical crash of just, I don't have any energy, I just gotta lay here. You know, it would be more something like that. With me, I can have all my conditions flare up and stuff. I have to be very careful. But you know, but that's the thing at this point, like any wrench you throw into my body, it's a really crappy balancing act it tries to do. But I don't see that happening for Trump. So I just think these are it's literally just more lying narratives about Trump. And it's stuff like this that makes people like me in the middle not trust anything negative we see about Trump. Because to me, it's horse crap what they're saying about the steroids. I know from being on them. Okay, so then she says, when does Regeneron get emergency use authorization? He says, I hope soon. Eli Lilly makes a similar drug, and I hope it will be very soon. I think it would have done well anyways. I hope. But who wants to take a chance? The antibody thing I took, I felt really good almost immediately after taking it. Well, I can also counter, if he took steroids with that, it's possible it's the steroids, because he kept saying, I feel better than before. Could be the steroids, depending on how long he took them and what they did. What it does is it gives people, we give it to people in hospitals. One of the scientists said, we will clean up the hospitals. We will get people out of the hospitals. People call it a therapeutic. To me, it's secure. I want to immediately get it out to people in hospitals. It's a transfusion. I want to get it to people. What a difference it made. I think I would have been fine. I'm in good health. People have to realize that. Once you recover, you're immune. And now you have a president who doesn't have to hide in a basement since I'm immune, and that's very important. Well, the statements on immunity are back or forth. And here's the thing. Maybe he misspoke. You have to always give people the benefit of the doubt that maybe they misspoke on something, and it's possible. I've been in a situation where I've kind of been out there in the public with health, and I've been super scrutinized, and I happened to misspeak about something, or I didn't explain it fully correctly, and people took it out of context and screamed I was lying. So I understand that can happen, right? I'm trying to give some benefit of the doubt here. So, and she says, I've reported from my medical sources that Biden, and this is very interesting, she said had 2 brain aneurysms. I haven't heard this, but is anybody surprised? I pray to God that's not true, but my medical sources are solid on this. I hope he's okay. Do you believe that he should be disclosing that information? And are you willing to commit to telling us issues that you've had in the past for you? If he comes clean about any mental issues or physical issues we need to know about, like the aneurysm. He says, I have no issues. You've known me for a long time, Maria, and I've had no issues medically. This is a very interesting statement. This was artificially induced by that country. When he says artificially induced, does that mean that he says that China, that they artificially created this situation? Is he saying, and I have to be very careful how I word this on YouTube, is he saying that a specific country might have on purpose made something and put it out with a negative purpose? Not saying that's the truth. I don't know. I don't have evidence for that. All I'm saying is, again, you really have to listen to what they're saying. Very interesting statement. So he says, this was artificially induced by that specific country. He should come clean and say something about that, if that's the case. She says, Kevin McCarthy is seeking a way to test Nancy Pelosi's fitness on her mental state. She's third in line for the presidency, and she did say that she is raising the possibility that she will become the president in a contested election. Trump says she could not pass the aptitude test. I do not believe. Look at Joe. He's coughing, grabbing his mask, and speaking, and it didn't get much press because the press doesn't cover him. He was coughing badly, and it was not a good thing to watch. Look into that, too. And then, policy. Taxes and economy. Give us your proposal and plans to get us back to where we were, to the 3.5% unemployment rate. What are your policies a second term? He says, open up the country. You can't keep all the states closed up, and they aren't doing well. The country is doing well. We are doing a super V. New York has to open up. It's like a ghost town. It's very sad there and other places. We just won a case in Michigan with the complainer in chief there. That's, by the way, did you guys hear that she was part of a kidnap plotting? Crazy stuff going on up there in Michigan. And he calls her the complainer-in-chief. All she does is complain unless she's on the phone directly. You have to open up Wisconsin, North Carolina, Pennsylvania. We won another case up there about opening up the economy. It's unconstitutional. You have to get kids back in schools. We have to get the place open. These people are doing it. 2 minutes after and he says 2 minutes after the election, they all announce they're going to open everything up. So he's saying with the Democrats, 2 minutes after the election, they want things to be open. So it's just a hypocritical narrative they're spinning. He says it's such a disgrace. They know what they're doing. It's a disgrace. We're doing very well. We're up in Miami for the campaign, Arizona, and many states, more than last time. I think we're doing well with this campaign. Then she says, Governor Cuomo's office called to say that they won't lock anything down until the election. 2 areas on pause or on lockdown are Queens and Brooklyn. They will remain locked down for 2 weeks, and we're doing a rolling basis with it. New York has been in bad shape. A lot of restaurants will go under. The economy is struggling. Where are we on the stimulus talks? Will you give money to places like New York? And he says the Republicans won't do it. We are having a hard time with Pelosi. She thinks she can influence the election. I think she's hurting herself by not doing it. We want to do stimulus, airlines, restaurants, hotels, businesses. And that's it. And for people who need help, it's not their fault. It's the other country's fault. We want to help them, Maria. Frankly, we're ready to go. And we can't get Pelosi to sign the documents. So what can we take away from all this? Well, remember in his tweets where he said, I'm canceling everything. And then a few hours later, Nancy, sign the bills. I'm ready. I think this is him using the media to put more pressure on Nancy about this situation. And that's what they're doing. Nancy slaps him in the face by trying to amend the 25th Amendment to say he's not mentally well enough. And Trump says it's your fault that we're not getting money. Sign. Now, where is this going and where this is headed? Like I've said, I could see this going one of 2 ways. In this situation, either the president is going to attack them and call it a wash before the election because he knows that he can't get checks into people's hands before then. So what's the point? Or at the last minute or sometime here soon, he's going to pass an executive order. So at the very least with this situation, he will look good in front of the eyes of the American people because he's the only one trying to pass anything. And honestly, I'm not sure what's going to happen. I still think there's a very big possibility of the emergency stimulus checks coming, which is why I do videos about it. But we're just going to have to wait and see. We just don't know yet. So stay tuned to this channel and I will continue to keep you updated on all things stimulus related. Okay, guys, if you like this video, please help me out and give me a big thumbs up. Like this video, subscribe if you haven't. Hit notifications so you can be notified what is coming to the pipeline for you and your stimulus money. Also, sound off in the comments. The more comments you leave, the better. I want to hear everything. And please share this content with as many people as you know that are struggling right now. People on unemployment, waiting for stimulus checks, SB loan and grant issues, and everything in between. I'd love to help as many people as possible, and I've got tons of tools and resources to do that. So please share this content. And guys, the more you like, subscribe, comment, hit notifications, share the content, the more the channel grows, and as it grows, I can do more giveaways for you guys. And I think I'm going to do a giveaway today. So stay tuned. In one of these videos today, there will be a giveaway. So make sure and watch all my videos from start to finish so you can see what I am giving away and see if I can get you guys some money. Okay, guys, I'm going to go ahead and close this out and end this video here now. This has been Katie, and thank you so much for listening to my insight. I so love you all, and I so appreciate you. And until next time, take care. I'll see you soon, and we'll just keep updating you on everything. And hopefully, in one of these videos today, we will give you some money. So watch and stay tuned. Bye, guys.